It's time to talk sports. It's Hacksaw's Headlines, a panorama of the world of sports, stories, comments, and opinions. Now, here's iconic sports talk show host Lee Hacksaw Hamilton and co-host John Riley.
Who wants to talk sports on a Monday? We do, you do. From the DIXIELINE Lumber and Home Center studios in San Diego, coming off a great sports championship weekend, we welcome you to the Monday Bonus Podcast. Good afternoon, everyone. This is Lee Hacksaw Hamilton, along with my co-host from left field with his opinions, the venerable John Riley, and we welcome you to Hacksaw's Headlines. This podcast brought to you by DIXIELINE Lumber and Home Centers. 100 years in business, lots of locations to serve you. Got projects, they've got materials, you want ideas, they can be your best friend, the consultant. Go to DIXIELINE.com to see all the things that they have to offer. John Riley, wow, what an NFL weekend we had. We're going to talk wall-to-wall NFL football, then we're going to dive into baseball. We got NBA. We're going to go a lot of different directions as we always do on this podcast, but wow.
Wow, yeah, big games, even big games in the snow.
And I guess I don't have to buy you breakfast because you don't have to buy me breakfast because each of our teams won one game this weekend in the playoffs.
It was a push.
Good. We'll have your wife buy us breakfast
okay,
on her credit card. Hey, listen, we're going to go a lot of different directions on this podcast because we do sports talk the way it should be done. We put topics on the table, we express opinions, and when we're done, we let you take over the podcast. It's what we call Fans Forum. John, explain it.
Explain it. All right, we got Callan already jumped in on board. He's got some Ducks questions for you, Lee. So if you have any questions or comments in the world of sports for Hacksaw, just drop your hot take in the live chat on YouTube, on X, or on Facebook. We'll get you involved in Fans Forum.
And make sure you put, if you're with us from out of town, where are you reaching out from? Just staple that right in there. Our followers are everywhere. We got them in pubs in Ireland, and we got them in South America, and we got them in all different states across the Union and in Canada. So let us know where you're following us on the live stream. Okay, let's get to it. We have an absolute ton of topics on the table, and then Fans Forum comes up with your opinions, your statements at the end of the podcast. John, all things NFL championship weekend. Wow.
Big time games here. Let's start with the Patriots at the Broncos.
Let's just talk about the whiteout that turned out to be a win. What an absolutely amazing comeback performance by the New England Patriots in the worst conditions possible in terms of 72,000 crazy fans, in terms of that snowstorm that moved in. Boy, that weather changed so badly, so radically from halftime on. Drake May got better and better as the game went on, and this is the third weekend in a row the Patriots quarterback scuffled, struggled, stumbled, and then kicked it into gear and made the kind of plays a championship team needs to make. And the defense got better and better as the game wore on too. The weather was unbelievable. The chess game the coaches played in the first half before the weather took over, just absolutely amazing. Sean Payton ambushed New England. Sean Payton put all these motion plays in with his offense at the line of scrimmage that New England had never seen on video before, and the Patriots were really kind of a step slow. Jarrett Stidham made a bunch of plays in the first half of the game, including a 52-yard pass in that first possession that got him down and got him the early lead. But in the second quarter, Mike Vrabel said, I've seen enough. You want to do motion? That's fine. I'm sending people at your quarterback. And they started the blitz, and suddenly they knocked Jarrett Stidham out of rhythm. And suddenly the Patriot offense went away, and all the momentum changed in the course of that football game. And then the weather moved in. And it got windy, and then it started to sleet, and then it started to snow, and then it was snowing sideways. Nobody could kick field goals. Nobody could throw the ball down the field, and the game was effectively over, and it's a 10-7 New England victory. Now, there got to be some regrets here. You know, Denver was up 7-0 with the backup quarterback and all that momentum, and they got the football deep down in on a 4th and 1 and decided at the 14-yard line to try to get another first down, keep the drive going, try to make that 7-0 lead 14-0. And they blew the play up. Vrabel blitz, Chase Stidham out of the pocket, Stidham threw it into the ground, drive stalls. If they had just kicked the field goal it would have been 10-0. They would have maintained the momentum, and they knew the weather was coming. They knew by halftime the weather was going to turn. It would have been a 2-possession game.
Yeah.
That obviously New England would have had to overcome. Did not happen. It was sad for Denver. They wasted, excuse me, they wasted another phenomenal defensive performance. 5 quarterback sacks in the game. But Drake May broke their back. He had 3 big runs. He had 60-plus yards rushing, just like he did to Houston, just like he did the first playoff game to the Chargers. New England 9-0 on the road this season. Never, ever been done. And the Patriots got rid of the ghosts. First time New England has ever won a playoff game in Denver, which is something to say when you consider they had Brady, they had Belichick for all those years. First time ever, Drake May gets them the playoff victory. Very impressive win. Very heartbreaking loss for Denver. Devastating that Bo Nix got hurt. Might have been excuse me, a very different game if Bo Nix had been a quarterback, but Vrabel out-schemed him. And I do think that Sean Payton made a terrible mistake at 7-0, trying to go for another touchdown rather than a 10-0 lead with the bad weather coming. John Riley's thoughts?
After a long drought, the Patriots are back in the Super Bowl, Lee. I mean, it's been a long time, right? You know, I know Boston they're all fired up for their guys. They're back in the playoffs. They're relevant again, but it's amazing what Vrabel has done there, you know, turning this whole thing around. And you were even saying in the beginning of the year, or even towards the end of the season, who have they played? The Patriots haven't played anybody.
Now they have.
You were always questioning how good they were. And yeah, there was no Bo Nix, but the Patriots took care of business. I mean, that was an impressive performance.
I think the most unique thing, you go back and look at the Charger game, the Houston game, and now the win in Denver. All carbon copies of each other. Struggled, trailed, and progressively got better and better with adjustments as the game wore on. They won each of those games in the second half. May kept making plays with his arm and with his legs in the second half, and the defense changed everything, most of that, in the second half of their win. So that's good coaching that I see this. I'm going to counteract what you're doing. I mean, what Vrabel did to what Sean Payton hit him with, all the motion plays and the resets. New England's defense was playing a step slow that entire first half. Vrabel said, screw it. I'm just going to start sending people. You're going to motion somebody out. That's where the blitz is coming from. And man, they took Stidham right out of rhythm. He had 52-yard pass on the first series.
Yeah.
He only had 88 yards throwing the rest of the game.
Well, he was under siege in the second half, you know, and he was scrambling and just kind of out of his mind a little bit. Everything was moving too fast for him.
Yep.
But to your point, taking that fourth down play when they had a chip shot field goal to go up 2 scores with your backup quarterback. I mean, it's like you're playing with house money here. Don't screw around here. Take the extra points. And then, okay, even if they did go for it, why in the hell are they throwing the ball with a backup quarterback? It was only like 4th and 1. I mean, find out some kind of a running play. It's all you need to do was get that first down.
They blitzed, and they flushed him out of the pocket. And now suddenly Stidham, backup quarterback, getting chased out of the pocket, going to the sideline where the boundary marker becomes a defender, and there was nobody to throw to. Nobody. Everybody was covered. So,
jeez. So it's like Sean Payton was sort of out-coaching himself.
Smart guys. These guys are always smart. I got to do this. Whole world goes for 4th downs. Ask Dan Campbell in Detroit whether the world caught up to his 4th down play calls.
Yeah.
So it's too bad because it could have been 10-0, and they knew the bad weather was coming by halftime.
Yeah, it was a bad move.
What is that? That hurt him badly. Okay, so that was one. Let's talk about the second one. Seattle Rams. Oh, man, heartbroken for the Rams. They did everything but finish it. I tried to come up with a phrase that would describe what happened last night. Chunk play city. Sam Darnold, brazen, bold, no fear, let it rip. He just kept throwing. Some in the coverage should have been picked, but he kept completing more and more passes as the game wore on. Sam is the man. What a season. 346 yards. And his comeback tour is now complete because he's going to the Super Bowl. Matthew Stafford, he did everything he could, but he doesn't play defense and he doesn't return punts. He got betrayed. He threw for 374, and he was under siege. He threw 3 touchdowns, and he ran out of time. Those two teams combined for 50 first downs. Those teams combined for 875 yards in a championship game. Puka Nacua, 9 catches, 165. And Jiba, 10 receptions, 153 for Seattle. But Darnold has fought through so much adversity with such tenacity. And he just looks so different in the Seattle system than he looked a year ago in Minnesota, and then prior to that, with all the places that he failed at. How about the third quarter? Nobody could stop anybody. 4 possessions, 4 touchdowns, all big plays in the fourth quarter of that game. Rams, defensive secondary, just got scorched. The Rams could not cope with the motion packages they were running at the line of scrimmage. You could see their corners and their linebackers were looking at each other as to how they should react when Seattle put Njiba and all these other guys in motion during the course of the game. How about Cooper Kupp?
Yeah.
Speaking of the word ghosts, coming back to haunt the Rams.
Totally.
Clutch ass Kupps along the way. And then there were stupid plays. Why Xavier Smith is still returning kicks? Because he had muffed one earlier in the game and covered it, but he'd muffed ones in other playoff games too. Why is he returning kicks when you got a much trustworthy Blake Corum, a running back, who had done it also early in the season? And they wound up benching Xavier Smith and went to Corum, but damage was done. And the secondary just got torched. I went back and checked this morning. Seattle's offense, 17 chunk plays, that's 10 yards or more, against the Rams defense. They were just torching them. Did not matter who the receiver was. The Rams were just lost in coverage. And then we get to the Sean McVay smart guy question. So you're fighting for your life. It's like a man trying to breathe who can't breathe, and you're gasping for air, and Stafford gets you down deep on another drive in the fourth quarter, and you got a 4th and 4, and you go for the touchdown on 4th and 4. You go for the field goal, you kick it, and the score is only 31-30, and you still got 5 minutes to go in the game, and you still got 3 timeouts in your pocket.
Yeah.
And he went 4th and 4, didn't make it. And then what happened? Sam Darnold, game-draining drive that took all but 25 seconds off the clock in the fourth quarter. Smart guys. And McVay's a great coach. But what are you thinking? What are you thinking? You kick the chip shot field goal, cuts the lead to 31-30. You got 5 minutes to go. You got 3 timeouts and the 2-minute warning. Why wouldn't you play that hand in the deck of cards instead of going 4th down, failing it? And now you got to get Darnold off the field, and then they just take the game away from him.
Well, see, the 4th downs kind of screwed up both of these coaches.
Exactly.
You know, it becomes fashionable to go for it on 4th down, and you end up taking too many risks. But I'll tell you what, the second half of that game, it was like a Hagler-Hearns. You know, one punch would land and the other punch would come back and land.
They couldn't stop each other.
It was incredible. I mean, it was a really entertaining game to watch. And so I'm really happy for Sam Darnold, you know, because he had that magical season last year, and then everything went to hell at the very end, and everyone was questioning him, doubting him. You know, he's the first USC quarterback to get to a Super Bowl. I mean, I thought that was an interesting stat.
Well, been a lot of good quarterbacks, but that didn't necessarily mean they were going to turn out to be successful NFL quarterbacks. So it was a great game. My goodness. But it was heartbreaking. I was just kind of at the end, I felt so bad for Stafford. Stafford winds up with 52 touchdowns this season. Think about that for a 37-year-old quarterback. And McVay's is devastated. And he's got a great coaching record. Sean McVay's coaching record is just phenomenal. So anybody wants to hold him to blames, look at the big picture of everything that he and Les Snead have done. But it does now bring up a burning question. Status of the quarterback, status of Davante Adams. Adams has been to 5 championship round games and hasn't won any of them as a wide receiver.
That's got to suck.
Oh, that's heartbreaking.
Hey, did you see the 2 brothers in the Patriots,
Yes.
Denver kind of embracing.
Yep.
That's a tough one right there for the family.
Very much. Great games. Wow. Oh, coaching mistakes. Oh, okay. Fans Forum chat box is open. If you wish to second guess, feel free. If you're a Patriot fan, are you impressed with what Vrabel did? If you're a Denver fan, Sean Payton, too smart a guy, too smart for himself there that hurt him. We'll talk about what the Seahawks did. Wow, the resurrection tour of that bold quarterback. And then how sad are you for what the Rams have become? Fans Forum chat box is open. Feel free. Express an opinion. Tell us what you think. Pile in right now. Boy, we got so much else to talk about around the NFL. Let's start with what's happened with the Chargers within the last couple of hours.
Yeah, coordinator crisis. There's something going on here with McDaniel.
It's all changed. It keeps changing. So when I last talked to you on Thursday on the podcast, Mike McDaniel had agreed to become the offensive coordinator of the Chargers. And I said, wow, that's a pretty good hire. That's a really good fit. But co-host also raised his hand and said, why would he make a commitment to be a coordinator right now when there were still, at that point, there were 5 NFL jobs still open?
Yeah.
Why would he do that? Because he had interviewed for 4 of them. Didn't make any sense to me. So we progressed through the weekend, and then comes word he's scheduled to meet with the Buffalo Bills. You're kidding me. He had already agreed to go to the church. He's going to meet with Buffalo? And then we find out he changes his mind, cancels out of that meeting, and meets with the Raiders. And I'm sitting here thinking, what did Harbaugh commit to? Why do you allow this to happen? What if he goes down this road and McDaniel goes somewhere else? So early morning hours today, McDaniel withdrew, committed to the Chargers as the offensive coordinator. But it was really, really bizarre.
So it's a done deal now?
Done deal.
All right.
But how strange was where it was Thursday when I left you on the podcast and where we were as of 5:30 this morning, where it changed and he backed away from everybody and committed to the Bolts. Here's what I've been told. They think he's going to stay in LA for 2 years with Harbaugh. He's going to add to his resume, which was pretty good, and then he'll be out the door to go be a head coach somewhere else. He's still held in high regard. By the way, look at that guy. Do you know what his nickname is?
What?
Nerd from Yale.
Yeah, that fits.
Yale nerd.
Yeah.
Bizarre.
It's like him and DePodesta.
Exactly. But, his first 2 years as head coach in Miami, 4,600 yards per season offensively with Tua. But that's before Tua got hurt. Of course, the numbers were cut in half the last 2 years, and they eventually wound up benching Tua. But I'll tell you what, he is creative juice, mad scientist. What he does with formations, what he does with motions, what he does in the red zone. That's why this guy's getting head coaching jobs despite just having been fired by Miami. So the Chargers get the coordinator done. Trust me on this. New philosophy for Jim Harbaugh. Pass first, run second.
Yeah.
I think that's going to happen. And now I just go back and I think to myself, Harbaugh and Greg Roman pissed away 2 years of Justin Herbert's career by trying to run the football with an inefficient line, letting that quarterback get sacked 105 times. Just disgraceful. So they've solved that. Now they got to fix the defensive coordinator's job with Jesse Minter having gone to Baltimore. They just interviewed the assistant head coach of the Rams, Aubrey Pleasance. He might be the guy. They interviewed Zach Orr, the defensive coordinator of Baltimore, over the weekend. They interviewed Denard Wilson of Tennessee, but Wilson's gone somewhere else to take a job. There was a lot of concern. Minter goes to Baltimore. Minter might steal some of Harbaugh's defensive assistants, and then when free agency opened, take some of the players. Well, one of the players they were looking at, they're not going to get. Tier Tart this morning signed a 3-year, $37 million contract extension, $12 million a year for a nose tackle. Boy, I've never seen that kind of price. But anyhow, the Chargers have locked him down. So, man, things are moving at warp speed with the Bolts, but they dodged one. I couldn't understand what's Harbaugh doing? Guy gives you his word he's coming, and you're going to let him interview for head coaches in Buffalo and Raiders after he accepts your job? What kind of way is that to do business? Anyhow, it worked out.
Well, it's kind of makes sense. It's like he's probably not going to get another head coaching job, so let's just lock him up, but we'll give him that little bit of freedom to explore. It's only like 2 or 3 days. But I noticed this morning that on X, the Chargers social media team has already got Mike McDaniel out there wearing Charger gear in a video clip. So he's appears to be all in with the Chargers now. But what was the deal with Buffalo? Like, he was going to interview and then he canceled?
He was supposed to interview with them in Florida on the weekend, and hours before the interview was supposed to start, he backed away.
That's a good job.
I agree.
Why would he back out of that?
I don't know. Why would he back out of that and then turn around and do an interview with Tom Brady for one of the worst franchises in modern day history, the Raiders?
Yeah, that would have been a weird one, but I don't blame him for, looking at the head coaching gigs. I think as far as the Chargers concerned, they come out of this looking pretty good.
I think so. Mm-hmm. Everything changes offensively. We'll see what happens defensively. So you're a Charger fan. Love him, hate him, I don't care. Tell me what you think about this guy, the Yale nerd, becoming the offensive coordinator. See, I can identify with this stuff because look who I work with.
Yeah, right.
UCSD nerd.
Yeah, that's me.
Okay. That's all things Chargers. We go from that to a very busy NFL notebook.
Yeah, look at all these surprise hirings and interviews.
This was really a surprise because everybody that I had networked with had told me something different was going to happen in Pittsburgh. They hired Mike McCarthy. Historically, they've hired veteran coaches. Historically, they always hired defensive coaches. Mike McCarthy, ex-Green Bay, ex-Dallas. Mike McCarthy, age 62. Mike McCarthy, offensive coach. Had not hired an offensive coach since 1966. Everybody that they hired since then, starting with Noel, came off some form of defensive tree.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So that was interesting. McCarthy, career record 174, 112, and 2. I had been told they were going to move on Nate Scheelhaase as soon as the Rams season was over. And instead, McCarthy went in there and they really liked his philosophies. They liked who he represented, what he accomplished, what his resume said versus Scheelhaase, who's just a bright light young guy, hasn't done it under fire. So that was a bit of a surprise. Now, I got to solve the next one. Next question in Pittsburgh, you got the coach. Are you bringing Aaron Rodgers back at age 42? Interesting. Rodgers played for McCarthy. Or is the next quarterback already on the roster, this kid from Ohio State, who played really well in preseason, then got hurt, Will Howard?
Oh, yeah.
Might you turn Will Howard over to Mike McCarthy and say, mold him, groom him, play him, and make him a star? That's going to be interesting. That's the next offseason question in Pittsburgh. Initially, in Pittsburgh over the weekend, when the story leaked out on Friday, Steeler fans said, why him? He's old. Why him? But then the more they thought about it, they start thinking, offensive guy. We haven't had that in a long time. Him and Rodgers. Yeah, they were linked. They got along. That makes sense. And they said, well, maybe it's not Rodgers. Maybe it's Will Howard. So Pittsburgh story is really intriguing. Buffalo. They talked to Phillip Rivers. I think Phillip Rivers was on a fact-finding mission about what it would take. I can't see Phillip Rivers, his wife and 10 kids going to Buffalo. And by the way, being an NFL coach, whether it's a head coach or it's a coordinator, that's a lifetime marriage to being in that office looking at video all the time. That's not a 9-to-5 job. So maybe Rivers was just on a fact-finding mission to see what it would entail. I can't believe that Buffalo would think you could hire somebody as great a person as he is, great a quarterback as he is, with zero experience. But anyhow, Rivers this morning withdrew, said, I'm not going to be a candidate for the job. They did bring in over the weekend Grant Yudinsky, offensive coordinator under Liam Cohen in Jacksonville. Now, they like him, but he's got zero head coaching and play calling experience. So that's kind of unique. And obviously the one that's still out there, who was the first one they interviewed after they hit the eject button on Sean McDermott, is Brian Daboll of the Giants, who was there with Josh Allen when he first came. Daboll went from Buffalo to the Giants. But how do you explain to your season ticket holders? Yeah, we're excited. We had a guy who was 20-40 with the Giants who got fired. So that's the Buffalo storyline. Raiders, it's really interesting. Interviewed Daboll over the weekend. They now have a short window, even though the Seahawks are in the Super Bowl, to actually interview Clint Kubiak. They did interview Mike McDaniel, but he's obviously off the board. So it may well be it'll be Kubiak or maybe Dable. I bet it's going to be Kubiak. Cleveland. Boy, this thing is weird. Cleveland's officials are in Los Angeles as we speak, interviewing Shieldhouse of the Rams. Is that a reach? Zero experience, never called plays. You're going to bring him in to solve that quarterback conundrum in Cleveland. Obviously, they were kind of stunned, pissed that McDaniel backed away from him. They talked to Udinski, but they could not move on Udinski in Jacksonville because they violated the Rooney Rule. They had to interview a second African-American. Shieldhouse is the one they're interviewing at this hour. He might wind up getting the Cleveland job, but is he fully qualified? That remains to be seen. Arizona Cardinals, it looks like it's going to be somebody with defensive items on their resume. Second meeting with Miami's defensive coordinator, Anthony Weaver. Raheem Morris is still out there. Long shot might be Mike LaFleur, the Rams quarterback coach. But again, he's never been a play caller per se, so that bears watching. New York Jets. I don't know how Aaron Glenn still has his job. You know, it was a miserable season. He's now fired 7 assistant coaches in the last week and a half with the New York Jets. So they're going through just a total rebuild less than a year in since Aaron Glenn got hired. And the final story, 49ers. I thought of you on this week. I thought of you a lot this weekend. San Francisco 49ers, the passing of John Brody.
Oh, yeah.
Age 90, great quarterback. Now, he was not the first great quarterback. I think the great quarterbacks of yesteryear in your history book, Frankie Albert, now it's way back. Y.A. Tittle for a short period of time, yes. But John Brody was there, 17 years in the league, 214 career touchdowns. His career spanned 1957 to 1973. I mean, he was a great, great competitor. And then when he was done with football, he became a star on the senior PGA Tour. But the first thing that popped into my mind after I read the obit on John Brody, and I thought of you being a devastated 49er fan, first thing popped in my mind, I was a very young kid. And I recall watching, this is how young I was, black and white TV. It was a 49ers game against the New York Football Giants. And I was racking my head, who was the coach? Who was the coach? You know, and it wasn't Bill Walsh or George Seifert. Those are modern day guys. Who was the coach? It was a guy by the name of Red Hickey. Red Hickey, I believe it was 1957, installed what nobody had ever seen. It's called a shotgun.
Oh.
And they ran the football out of the shotgun with Brody, Billy Kilmer, and a quarterback from Ole Miss by the name of Bobby Waters, who was the runner. So they had 3 quarterbacks playing the shotgun formation for that whole year. It didn't work, but that's my John Brody story. So, okay, John, go ahead. You want to talk about what the Steelers did or should have done and talk about Cleveland, Buffalo, et cetera. Carry on.
Yeah, McCarthy is an interesting hire. I mean, we'll see how that goes. Aaron Rodgers for another year, I'm not sure about that. And Will Howard could be serviceable, but Will Howard isn't like a Super Bowl winning talent.
Not yet.
You know, so, and then, you know, you're talking about, this is kind of a touchy topic, but at what point do you think that the NFL would ever say that we don't need the Rooney Rule anymore?
It's a problem because all of a sudden now, well, I need to just go interview this black coach so I can fulfill the requirement. That doesn't seem fair to the African-American candidate out there.
But a lot's changed in the NFL. I mean, we have black coaches in the NFL now. Sadly, a few of them retired or were fired this season. Raheem Morris, I'm thinking of Tomlin, I'm thinking of Aaron Glenn. What other black coaches are in the NFL right now?
Off the top of my head, no, I can't remember. There's just not a lot of them. But there are a lot of coordinators who are African-Americans, and that's normally the stepping stone to become a head coach. But this argument has gone on the last couple of years. That was the genesis of the Brian Flores and a lawsuit against the NFL.
Yeah, I remember that, yeah.
So that's a big, big issue.
But see, he got caught up in that because he was just going to be a token interview. Yeah. But I don't know. It just seems like the NFL, now granted, I'm an outsider looking in, but the NFL has evolved beyond the point now because there's been successful, black NFL coaches. You know, it doesn't seem to be that it's, again, I'm not in the room with them, but it doesn't seem to be as discriminatory as they were accused of being years ago.
I don't think it's the old boys network. I think that's the phrase you're looking for.
Yeah.
I don't think it is anymore, but I still think it's an opportunity for young African-American coaches and assistants to present their portfolio. You know, and you go through the interview process and, okay, I don't get the job in New England, but Kraft is so impressed with my presentation that maybe if there's a job open in Washington, he tells the Washington owner, you should interview this guy because we were pretty impressed, even though we settled on Mike Vrabel. So I think connect the dots. I think it's always good to meet people.
Yeah, it is. I agree. I agree. So it's just an interesting question.
No,
you know?
no,
So,
it is.
and then, by the way, John Brody, I'll just share my memories is that I didn't start, I was a little kid, like between 6 and 8 years old there in the early 70s.
They didn't have black and white TV then.
Well, we did. Okay. And I remember those 3 years, the 49ers lost to the Cowboys in the playoffs 3 years in a row, which made, the Montana Dwight Clark catch just so amazing. But back in the day with Brody, I remember I had his football card and I had Vic Washington, a running back, and Gene Washington was the receiver. And Gene Washington, I think it was number 18, which was one of those unusual wide receiver numbers. But he's the guy that went into the players union, didn't he? Or,
Yes,
or
exactly.
was he in the NFL headquarters? He had some big time job.
Yeah.
But I remember also, this is a silly story, but I was in a shopping mall with my aunt who was in her early 20s, and we found like this sweatshirt with a number 12 on it. And she bought it for me. And I was so happy about it. And it was one of those ones where they have like they were iron on like the letters on the back. And she says, well, you could put your name on the back. And I go, no, I want John Brody's name on the back. Okay. And so then I was like, well, how do you spell Brody? We didn't know. And I was a little kid. My aunt didn't really follow football. We asked the lady at the counter. She didn't know. And my name is Riley, Riley. So I figured, it must be Brody, okay, which is the misspelling. So I got the thing with the Brody on the back. And boy, I showed up at the schoolyard. We used to play like touch football on the grass there when I was a little kid. I was so proud of my sweatshirt. And man, I just got killed by my friends for the typo. And I never wore that sweatshirt again.
Hey, on eBay, though, you'd probably get $330,000 for it now.
Yeah, you might.
Okay, that's all things from the NFL Notebook. You have an opinion on the coaching carousel. There are 4 jobs left open. It'll be intriguing to see.
What are the 4?
Well, the 4 are Buffalo, Raiders, Browns, Cardinals.
Okay.
Interested to see. I mean, this thing, I told you last week, I said, once these dominoes start to fall, it's going to move fast.
Well, it started with 10, right?
Yeah.
10 openings.
Yeah. So we had 6 fill-ins in about a week.
Well.
So interesting. There'll be more hirings this week for certain. NFL Coaching Notebook. Feel free if you want to join us on Fans Forum. Let's go from that. Let's talk some college football playoffs. Interesting storylines there over the weekend.
Playoffs?
It's been lost in the midst of all things NFL.
Yeah, something about the format changing here. What do you got, Lee?
Okay. College Football Playoff Committee, which is really run by the Big Ten and the SEC, met over the weekend, and they've been going back and forth about change the format, expand the format, who's in, who's out of the format. They could not come to an understanding. At the end of the day, we're going to have a 12-team format again next season in 2026. The one that Indiana just won. We got the champion teams from the ACC, Big Ten, SEC, Big 12, all get in. The 5th one will be Notre Dame if they're ranked inside the top 12 of the college football playoff. The 6th one,
Notre Dame.
The 6th one will be the top championship rated team from the group of 6.
Okay.
That's how James Madison, et cetera,
Yeah.
got in. Okay. Guess who's not guaranteed a slot? The Pac-12. They will be moved to the group of 6. So you got the Pac-12 and the AAC and the Mountain West and the Mid-American Conference and whoever else is out there. They're all competing for probably one playoff spot. So that blows away the idea that the Pac-12 is back. No, you're not. Pac-12 is like the Mountain West 2.0. That's got to be heartbreaking. I don't know if anybody paid attention to the potential of what could happen with this, but this Pac-12 alignment is no better than the Mountain West alignment that we're so used to. So that's the big story there. Over this next calendar year, the Big Ten and the SEC will sit down and continue to have dialogue. Do we take it from 12 to 16? Do we take it from 12 to 24? If we expand it, do we just tell the guys from the group of 6, over there in that corner will be your playoffs. You have your own separate playoffs. You won't be part of what we're doing, that's another argument unto itself.
Separate but equal.
Yeah, past tense.
I know, that's
how that worked out.
That's just wrong. I mean, that's what makes March Madness so great is you get the mid-majors in there and they go up against one of the blue bloods and magic sometimes happens. And then they're just doing the dirty on the Pac-12. I mean, that's just not right.
It's all about the big boys and the big bucks.
Right, exactly.
Okay, so that's where we are. You're a college football fan, agree or disagree with that, jump on board. We go from that. Let's talk Major League Baseball. We got all kinds of storylines here that we want to talk about. We'll start with Padre Baseball.
Yeah, a lot going on with this Darvish story.
Oh, this is a touchy story here. I don't know if the Union Tribune got lured into writing a story that wasn't factually totally correct. I'm not quite sure where the first source was. Darvish, elbow surgery, miss all of 2026. There were insinuations, maybe I'll retire. Then somewhere along the way, there were quotes picked up that the UT picked up that said Darvish was going to strictly concentrate on his private life and do his rehab. And then the hint was made that he'd have to sit and talk to the Padres about the 3 years, $43 million left on his contract, how much they would pay him. Then came a denial from Darvish's agent. No, he hasn't retired. This is a complex situation. We have to negotiate, etc. At the end of the day, the Padres have a money issue. They've really capped out as to what they can spend. If they could get Darvish to give him $14 million that he's due this year back, they could use that to try to go back into the marketplace and maybe find another pitcher. Now, I don't think in modern day sports anybody would walk away from $43 million. It just doesn't happen. He got hurt pitching for you. But that being said, last year when he left that team for a better part of 3 months, he had all those injuries and he had the personal family situation with cancer, they paid him. He kept all of his money. I think he's a first-class guy. I think he's a guy of tremendous standards. I think the guy's honorable. He should offer to give the $43 million back. If he comes out of retirement and proves he can pitch, then they can negotiate with him a new contract for 2027 if he can pitch again. But they're so desperate for money, he should do the honorable thing, especially since they took care of him last year, and give the money back. Or maybe he's going to serve as a consultant. Maybe he gets to keep a little bit of this money to be a pitching consultant. Or maybe they take a chunk of it and they just defer it out so they don't have to write a check on the 1st and 15th or every month this coming baseball season. It's a tough call because he is such a good guy. But at the end of the day, $43 million is a hell of a lot of money, especially when you consider they took care of him financially when he was gone for so long. And he's had elbow problems 3 years in a row, and then he had the personal family situations. A real tough call. And the UT thought they had an angle and story and ran with it. It wasn't quite correct because the agent blew him out of the water. And then Darvish came back overnight and said, no, I'm not retiring. So somebody misinterpreted something somewhere. It's too bad. But at the end of the day, there's $43 million out there they don't have access to. They got to find a way. Should he give them the money back? What do you think, John?
Yeah, this is interesting on a couple of different levels. Now, first of all, yeah, everyone was aghast. Oh, he retired. And Padre fans are happy that that money's available to go get some more talent. But I would never shame a guy and say, you should do the honorable thing and give up your contract, because it's a contract. And the contract, it was agreed upon by both parties. He is entitled to all that money. And it's a freak thing that Major League Baseball has these guaranteed deals. I mean, because in the NFL, you get hurt like this and you're out for a year or more or whatever, you don't get paid. Now, in my opinion, it's a very the way that the MLB, collective
Structure.
bargaining agreement is structured, it is so heavily weighted towards the player. Now, Darvish, of course, comes from Japan. He says that they see contracts in Japan differently than in America. And so if he were to say, hey, you know what? When we do business together, it's got to be win-win. All right. And if I'm not playing, I really shouldn't be getting paid. Right. I mean, that from that point of view, I could understand it and I would respect it, but he shouldn't be shamed to give it up.
He did make the comment initially on, it's not my money. I haven't earned that money.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
But then the agent came back and said, no, this is a complex issue. He's not retired. They don't have the money.
That's what the agent should say, because
Exactly.
they're going to defend their guy.
So what do you think? Should we invoke my word? Defer it till we see whether you can pitch down road, but defer the money so they can use this money to fix this team now.
I think it just seems like we have rational people that are at the table right now. Darvish wants to do what he thinks is the right thing. He's not going to give up all 43. He's going to get something as form of a buyout. And then that leaves the door open for him to potentially come back. So therefore, that's why he's not saying I'm retired. He still wants to have that last chance.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
You're a Padre fan. This is a touch the nerve topic here, because that's a really special guy. But should he do the honor roll thing and give up the money since he can't pitch and they're in such a critical need? Feel free. Join us. Fans Forum chat box is open. Last topic on baseball before we get to halftime. Notebook.
Yeah, we got some trade talks going on.
Let's talk about this. Detroit, entire weekend with the New York Yankees talking about a Tarek Skubal trade. Yankees have gotten kind of blown off the back pages of the New York tabloids by all the acquisitions. Mets have made 7 acquisitions in the last offseason, most of them in the past week. Anyhow, the Yankees have talked to Detroit about Skubal. Detroit asked for power hitter Ben Rice, hot young outfield prospect George Lombard, veteran pitcher Clark Schmidt, who's pitched well either sides of surgery, and Cam Schlittler, another young pitcher who put himself in the rotation last year. The Yankees backed away. The Yankees said, no, we're not trading 4 guys for 1. And the Yankees said, here's a 1-year rental. Wait a minute, time out. This is the Yankees, #1 market in the country. You're trading for Skubal, and you don't think you can afford to re-sign him? Of course you could re-sign him. It's New York Yankee dollar bills.
The Dodgers will outbid them.
Yeah. So that's where we are with the Detroit Yankee thing. They were talking. It stalled on Sunday. At this point, nobody's going forward. Washington, Texas. Man, there's a lot of heat being directed at the Nationals about Mackenzie Gore. You know, they traded him to the Texas Rangers in a 4-for-1 deal, all minor leaguers. Only one of them, an upper-level minor leaguer, is now ready to play. Washington right now, most everybody else is at A or rookie league ball. So the screaming is that Mackenzie Gore, you did not get enough for him. But the inner circle says he was 26-41 as a starter. Now, wait a minute. The guy was tremendous the first half of last season when he gave him the ball every 4th day. He's grown into become a starter. You can't denounce him just because you didn't get enough in the transaction. And by the way, we should denounce you. You're not signing him to try to keep him as a foundation with C.J. Abrams or James Wood? Is that not your future? I just don't understand the methodology of Washington dropping hints. Well, he was 26-41. Well, yeah, he's on a rebuilding team with rookies, and you had no run support. I just think it was so unfair. So anyhow, he's gone to Texas. And the other story is the Houston Astros. When I saw this, I thought of you.
Oh, no.
Carlos Beltran,
Oh, yeah.
Hall of Fame press conference, Cooperstown,
Yeah.
going into the hall. He says, what happened in that World Series should not define me. And I said, geez, I hope John Riley's listening to this. He said, what should define me is 435 home runs and 315 stolen bases and a lifetime batting average of 280. John Riley, are you paying attention to what Carlos Beltran had to say? Okay, go ahead. Comment there. Start with the Tigers.
Yeah, Carlos, no, I'm not talking about Carlos Beltran. That's weak. I mean, it's like, don't look at that. Don't look at the skeleton in my closet. Come on, man. I mean, that's part of the package, you know. It's same thing with Pete Rose. You can't say, hey, don't look at what I was doing betting on baseball as a manager. Just look at my playing. It's just the whole thing. You got to capture the whole thing. The Nationals trading Mackenzie Gore. It just seems like now I'm hearing CJ Abrams deals are going on. They're not doing it. They're like one of those. I mean, how many teams are in baseball? Like 30?
30.
So 20 of them aren't even really trying.
I concur. And you're not keeping one of the foundation kids, and then you drop hints after you trade him. Well, he was 26 and 41. What a cheap shot.
Yeah. But, you know, Gore, you know, he was the number one overall pick, wasn't he? That 1 year where the Padres got him. I mean, he's a hell of a talent, but he hasn't been like a Paul Skeens or a Tariq Skubal. He hasn't been as great as we all thought he would be. He's like right now kind of like a middle rotation guy.
Okay, that's an interesting story. Okay, that's all things Major League Baseball. Feel free to join us. You stand at street corner with John Riley, pointing at Carlos Beltran. Said, I said, look at the statistics. He belongs in the Hall of Fame. Okay, we get to halftime. This podcast is brought to you by DIXIELINE Lumber and Home Centers. Been in business for more than 100 years in San Diego. What I like about DIXIELINE, in addition to the fact that they supply lumber for just the building of all these homes in San Diego County, is the other things they do. They do things like interior decor and patio decor out by the pool. And if you're Mr. Fix-It, their tool section at DIXIELINE Lumber is absolutely through the roof. So, John, just go ahead and walk us through what you see there.
Well, yeah, I mean, there are great things that DIXIELINE offers with tools, but I just want to talk about an interesting story because, you know, a lot of DIXIELINE's customers are contractors, builders. They're out on job sites, you know, they're getting lumber delivered there, but they listen to sports out on the job site and they listen to sports talk radio. We see the guys kind of rolling into the DIXIELINE lumber yard. You know, you can drive your pickup truck there. They'll load it for you in the lumber yard. But those people are listening to sports. They all know who you are, you know? So that's really cool about having DIXIELINE as our marquee sponsor because they're deeply connected to the sports community, to the builder contractor community. And like I said, man, you can just roll into any DIXIELINE location, drive through lumberyard. They'll load it up. You can place your order ahead of time. They'll have it all packaged, ready to go. They'll even deliver to the job site. So what a win for contractors and builders throughout Southern California.
You got projects, they got materials, you want ideas, they can be your best friend and consultant. Just go to DIXIELINE.com to see all the things they have to offer for you. Okay, we are at halftime. When we're done with topics on the table, because we do sports talk the way it should be done, we open it up to you. It's called Fans Forum. Have we given you enough in the first half of this podcast to get you to react? John, for the people on live stream, how does Fans Forum work?
You see, everyone in there is like Rams fans. They're not happy right now. You know, they're kind of, you know, crying in their tears, crying in their beer. So anyways, if you've got a comment or question about the world of sports, just drop your hot take in the live chat on Facebook, on X, on YouTube. We'll get you involved in Fans Forum.
Fans Forum is made for you. Have an opinion, don't suck. Jump on board. That's coming up right at the end of this podcast. If you like sports, I write about sports every day of the week. You need to read my One Man's Opinion column today. It's on my website, leehacksawhamilton.com. That website is loaded every morning by 7 a.m. for you to check out all the big stories. Also, become part of Hacksaw's Insiders Group. You can register by filling out the orange box right on the homepage of the website. Then you'll get the 2 newsletters that John and I send out each day to the Insiders Group. So feel free to do that. Share, tell everybody what we do Mondays and Thursdays at 1:30. Subscribe. When you subscribe on the YouTube channel, you will get the alerts every time we put additional videos up on my YouTube channel. Give us a thumbs up, hit the follow button, give us a 5-star rating. You can't believe how that helps us in terms of the rankings through all the different social media platforms that we are on. Did I cover it all?
You did.
I feel like I'm missing something.
No, you got it all, man. Yeah, like, follow, share, and subscribe.
Okay. We just love having you here as we're in the middle of our 3rd year doing this podcast. Okay, let's go to the second half because we got other topics on the table and we're shooting 3-point shots here.
Yeah, big win in Vegas for the Aztecs.
San Diego State. This guy was there. He was the one who was wearing the red and black paint on his cheeks.
Both teams are red and black. You got to be careful.
So, what a performance by Miles Byrd. Nice win, UNLV. San Diego State, just red hot. There was a stretch early in the game. There were 9 of 11 shooting the ball. There was entire game. They were 22 of 26 from the free throw line. And they ratcheted up their defense in the second half of that game and just choked Vegas off the floor. Vegas. You ever seen so many stupid fouls away from the basket?
Yeah,
Woo. Committed 12 fouls. Vegas, 12 of 22 shooting free throws. Clank. They were not good. Best game Miles Byrd's played this year. That has to be the Miles Byrd if this thing is going to do anything in March Madness. He hit 5 for 5 from the three-point line, all long-distance bombs, 23 points on the night, rebounds, steals, assists. That was the complete Miles Byrd package. We've hardly seen that at all during the course of the season. I'll tell you, it's really tough that Magoon Gwath is just not making progress and coming back from the hip injury after he was coming back from the knee injury. This sure kind of shapes up. This might be a lost season. They just have no idea how long it's going to be before he can actually get back on the floor. With that being said, boy, these kids are playing really well. I mean, Taj DeGorville, he looks so different as a second-year player from the kid that was overwhelmed last year. You got him and obviously Harrington. Farrell Compton plays like a man in the paint against much bigger people. And what's the other young freshman that's really played?
Tay Simmons.
Boys, talk about light going on. I can play at this level. So they've got themselves a really cross-section of good young guys here to step in to complement Byrd, even though Gwath is not there. Wednesday, they get Colorado State here. The next Saturday, they go to Utah State. And Utah State's not playing as well recently. Last couple of weeks, they've taken a couple of real bad setbacks, which is a bit of a surprise, but that's going to be a barn burner of a game. So you look like a jerk with your face painted on the baseline up at Vegas. I saw this guy. I can't believe that's my co-host there.
Yeah, it was great. It was, go to the Thomas and Mack, man, get in there and it was nice little, we had my wife and I just went out for the weekend. It was perfect. Miles Byrd was terrific, but it's kind of neat, when you're at the game because you can see things you don't normally see on TV. And you'll see the coaches, obviously getting in the face of certain players, but other times you can see like legit teaching moments where Dutcher's talking to the guys on the bench, about certain situations, kind of in a professional teaching mode. And I like seeing that. Magoon was there. He was wearing sweats. He came out kind of doing some flexor, kind of stretches. You could tell he was bummed that he wasn't in the mix, but Dutcher's got a lot of depth, man, and he's making it work, so, but to your point, Taj DeGorville was fantastic. I mean, he just looked terrific. And it's interesting how he started out as a point guard to begin the season, lost the job, but, like last game, I think he played better than Harrington. Harrington, I know that Ziegler was saying something about, or maybe it was Ken Lucati was saying something about how Harrington wasn't at practice and they were questioning if he was going to be able to make the trip. And I saw Harrington out there doing warm-ups. He looked a little, I don't know if this is kind of his vibe, but he looked a little bit like annoyed and a little lackadaisical. Maybe he was ill. I don't know. But it was interesting too. It's like you see the young men out there, like, and doing the warm-ups before the game, and they're not wearing their jerseys. They're just wearing like a t-shirt or a tank top. And Miles Heidi's out there, man. He's wearing a black tank top and he's a lefty, and I'm like, a little Rocky Balboa in that guy. What do you think?
Yeah.
He had a good game.
He offensively, he's not great, but he does enough on all the other aspects with the exception of shooting free
his
throws.
Offense is really improved.
I big step.
Yeah.
But, when you're at ground zero, you can take big steps.
Yeah, good on him,
He's worked really hard.
He really has. He's earned it.
So that's where we are with the Aztecs. You still look stupid at your age wearing face paint. The most amazing thing to me, and I watched that thing, the empty seats, Thomas and Mack. My God, now I grant you, the Jerry Tarkanian world, that's a long time ago, but man, the fan support's just drifted away.
Yeah, there were a lot of Aztec fans there, but like the main bowl is about 2/3 of the capacity of the arena, and then there's like this upper deck, like another third. And that upper deck was dead empty, and the bottom deck, which is 2/3 capacity, was only about 40 to 50% full. A good amount of Aztec fans there, but I will give this up to Vegas, man. The opening ceremonies, they had like the pyrotechnics going on. They had like flamethrowers off the top of the backboard. I mean, it was a total Vegas show.
Yep.
And they did a really good job. I mean, I'll give the credit to the university and the presentation, but the Aztecs were definitely, a superior team, and they proved it.
Okay, you're an Aztec fan. How about Miles Byrd? Can we cap that, bottle that, and make sure we use that every game going forward on Wednesdays and Saturdays? Because that's the Miles Byrd Aztecs need going forward towards March Madness. So we go from that. Fans Forum is open for San Diego State fans. Let's talk some NBA notebook stuff.
Yeah, Jeannie Buss at the top of the list.
Oh, this is quite a story. ESPN at the end of the week had this big essay, this investigative piece, just ripping to shreds Jeannie Buss's leadership. The fact that she's fired every family member since the franchise has been sold to the Mark Walter Group, and she's the only one on a 5-year contract extension, but also evaluating all the decisions she's made and the mistakes and players and whom they're hired, etc. And then evidently dropping a comment that she may have made somewhere along the road about LeBron James. And that's what the story just took off and exploded nationally. And the premise of the comment was Jeannie Buss was insulted that the world was making LeBron James out to be the savior of Laker basketball. And that story has just taken on a life of its own. So while the Lakers are on this 8-game road trip, obviously the national media and the beat guys are going to ask him about this insinuation that Jeannie Buss no longer likes you and never viewed you as the savior of the franchise. Well, hell, I viewed him as a savior of the franchise because she had made so many mistakes running the franchise. I don't know why a Laker fan out there dislikes LeBron James. It should not be that way. I mean, he's got every component of being a savior of a franchise that you could need, considering where this team has been recently in the last group of years. But LeBron came back and said, I don't need to be anybody's savior. I don't care about the noise out there in the community. Everybody's writing articles about everything. I don't read any of it. I don't care. He said, I came here to return the dignity and excellence of Lakers basketball and to contribute. And he says, it's now Luka Doncic's team, but we got great players on this team, etc. So he was kind of offended too. And he says, I'm just ignoring all the noise that is out there at this point. So I guess I'll pose the question, why do Laker fans, or maybe I'm reading it wrong, he doesn't read it that way, why do Laker fans dislike LeBron James? Where would they be with this franchise had LeBron James not come here, or if LeBron James had come here, gotten hurt, had a career-ending injury, or if LeBron James became Anthony Davis? So why do Laker fans dislike LeBron James? So that's a basketball story. The rest has to do with injuries. Oh, this is terrible. Trading deadline's just around the corner. I don't know that a divorce is going to happen, but Giannis Antetokounmpo in Milwaukee has now gone down with a calf injury again. He's going to be gone for the next 6 weeks. That's the third time he's injured the calf this season. And he's 31 years of age, and I guess the mileage is starting to pile up, and now he's got what appears to be a chronic situation. So it's devastating. Milwaukee has just fallen apart around him, and now he can't stay on the court, and a trading deadline is coming up. And then there's Ja Morant, Memphis. He doesn't play well when he's with them, and he's off the court a lot with suspensions, off the court problems, and he's injured again. Now he's injured his elbow. He's out 3 more weeks. So the question is somebody going to trade for him? Because his name is mentioned in Toronto. It's mentioned in Minnesota. Somebody going to trade for Morant with baggage of injuries and all the baggage of stuff off the court. And Jonathan Kuminga, he goes down with a knee injury on Friday. Golden State is obviously trying to trade him, and he's got a deep bone bruise. Those things don't heal by Monday. Those things take forever. So what's his trade value, notably to Sacramento? So messy times in the NBA. So do you like LeBron James? Are you anti-LeBron? Or what do you think the world does not like him in LA?
Well, he can be whiny sometimes, and there's clearly been soap opera going on. You always wonder, is LeBron, is he like the behind the curtain GM? I mean, do you need to get LeBron's permission before you trade for someone else? There's always been that speculation. And you kind of wonder, okay, I mean, he's obviously a talent, but is he the team leader? I mean, he's no Magic or Kareem. I mean, his personality is very different. So I don't know, but when you say a savior, now from the Lakers' perspective, yeah, the franchise was crap there for a while after Kobe, right?
Yep.
After he, retired, and rest in peace. But how long was that? Maybe 5 or 6 years of purgatory before LeBron showed up.
Mm-hmm.
So when Jeannie Buss signed him, she may not have used the word savior, but she certainly intended to have him come back and put the Lakers back on the map. But
exactly.
Once you use that word savior, you're thinking he's like a religious figure that's going to come and have supernatural abilities, and he's clearly not that. So it's just more Laker drama. I mean, it's a shame about Giannis. I mean, you'd like to see that guy win more. I think he deserves it, and I wouldn't touch Ja Morant, with the 10-foot pole.
Okay, you're a basketball fan. How do you view LeBron James? That's a simplistic question. Give us an opinion. We're going to get to the fans forum shortly. We go from that. Hockey Hotline is open for business.
Yeah, Hockey Hotline. We got the Kings at the top of the list.
Yeah, let's talk about this. NHL trading deadline is coming up on the 5th of February. Huge rumor. I don't know how they make this trade, but maybe they do. They want more goal scoring. The Kings are talking to the New York Rangers, who evidently are about to clean house, about their leading scorer, Artemi Panarin. He's got 19 goals this season. He's got 321 career goals. He's in the final year of his contract at $11.8 million, and the Kings have talked to the Rangers about him. Now, I don't know whether it's just a number one pick for a 31-year-old player, or whether it's got to be young players be part of the package. Rangers are a mess. The heavy loaded contracts, and just nobody's playing well. So Panarin, is he going to be the savior to come to the LA Kings? Because they're scuffling to they're not even in the playoff race right now because they've had such a bad run. That's an interesting story. Really weird story in Toronto. Mitch Marner, great goal scorer, Maple Leafs, hometown Toronto kid, left. Free agency was coming. They traded him to Vegas rather than get nothing in return. So he's playing for a good Vegas team. Mitch Marner plays his first game back in Toronto. And they put this video up. They ran in the first period at Air Canada Center with the highlights of Mitch Marner. Well, there's not been a lot of highlights because the Maple Leafs don't play well in postseason. Haven't won a first-round series since, Christ, I don't know, a long time.
Was it 1967?
Well, that's when they won the Stanley Cup.
Okay.
And which was a lot of slap shots ago. But at the end of the day, they put this video up, and the Maple Leaf fans boo them. Whoa. And this kid scored 230 goals for the Maple Leafs, and he was the run and gun running mate of Austin Matthews. But, out there was the whole free agent thing. Are you going to stay? Are you going to leave? He was asking the moon. The Leafs are not going to pay that, and they wound up getting rid of him. So it was kind of sad because the kid has been a really good hockey player. He got booed by Maple Leaf fans during the video. And the last one, how about them Ducks?
Hey.
In the midst of a 9-game losing streak, turn the switch on, they've won 7 in a row.
Good for them.
And all their kids are doing it. And last night, Beckett Seneke, 19-year-old, doesn't look like he shaves. He looks like a senior at Poway or Rancho Bernardo High School. He scores 2 more goals. He's got 17 goals as a 19-year-old rookie. And Cutter Gauthier, who came from Philadelphia, the other guy, he's got like 18 or 19 goals. McTavish has started to score. Leo Carlson, the Swedish star, is hurt right now with I think it's a calf injury. He'll be back. But boy, the Ducks are all of a sudden, it's like a light switch has gone. They won 7 games in a row, and they've just kind of ignited everybody at the Honda Center, a.k.a. used to be known as the Pond. So that's where we are. See, the Kings should trade for a guy that's making $11.8 million on a 1-year contract.
I don't know. I mean, honestly, I'm more thrilled about the Ducks. I mean, rather than talking about the Kings. I mean, I'm just happy that they're having success because they've been down for so long.
Yep.
I have a question, though, about the calendar because we got the Olympics coming up in a few weeks. Now, does the NHL take time off?
Yes.
Okay.
There'll
so
be like a 2-week window there.
That's what was my question, is how long was that going to be? Okay, so what's the timing? When do the Olympics start?
Well, the women's hockey starts February 11th. I think the men start maybe within that week or the end of that week.
So the second half of February will be off.
Trade deadline is February 5th, and then all rosters are frozen.
Oh, frozen?
Yep. Hockey term.
Yeah, it is a hockey term. Okay. Well, good on that. Good on the Kings. Good on the Ducks. And Maple Leaf fans booing Mitch Marner. Come on.
Maple Leaf fans pay $140 to buy a jersey out in the hallway and then get angry at the Maple Leafs and throw the jersey on the ice.
Yeah.
At those hockey fans. Okay. Hey, NHL Notebook. You got a topic there? Join us, Fans Forum. Last segment, late breaking stories. You're going to run through this quick.
Yeah. Start with the Australian Open.
Australian Open tennis tournament. They're on a collision course, but boy, one of them almost got derailed this weekend. We're talking Carlos Alcaraz just overpowering and pounding everybody at the Australian Open. The other superstar, Jannik Sinner, almost lost. Fell apart, calf problems, cramping hamstring. It was 104 degrees on the court. We forget it's chilly here. Yeah. It's the middle of summer on the other side of the equator. Melbourne, Australia, the heat conditions were brutal. And he had to stop to go for treatment, and they closed the roof. And that allowed the temperature on the court to come down, and he survived. But he was dragging his right leg in the third round match. I didn't think he couldn't serve and he couldn't run. But he finally beat an American. They wound up going 4 sets, but it was a real grind. So Alcaraz, Sinner, they're the ones to beat on the men's side at the Australian Open. IndyCar racing. Wow. His name is Alex Palou, points champion, Ganassi Racing. Massive lawsuit. Judge ruled Palou owes Team McLaren $12 million. Palou had agreed to leave Ganassi Racing 2 years ago to go to McLaren IndyCar team, then as a jumping off point to go to Team McLaren Formula One. Twice he backed out.
Why would he back out?
He had second thoughts. And McLaren invested enormous amounts of money in research and development for Palou, signing bonus and all that for Palou. Sponsorships poured in because they were going to get him here to run in the IndyCar series. They lost all those sponsorships, so they sued him. So the judge just ruled $12 million judgment against Alex. He's still with Ganassi and has walked away from the idea of going to F1. Speaking of F1, this weekend, first 3 days off-season testing. Now, they do it different in Formula One. They make it an armed camp. You can't get access to the track in Barcelona. No fans, no media. It's private testing. If you got a drone and you're trying to video somebody out there, they'll shoot the drone down. It's like an armed camp. It's really weird. And of course, what's so important about the 3-day testing that just came through, this is the debut, the first time on the track for the all-new 2026 setups, which are new engines, very different aerodynamics, and obviously tire testing. It didn't go well. Lewis Hamilton, Ferrari, had to shut their car down. Electrical problems, did not get all 3 days testing in. So that drama, that nightmare with Sir Lewis Hamilton continues. Team Williams never showed up. Their car has not been completely built out. They can't do the testing. So they're going to go to Bahrain next month, stone cold, with no testing, and try to get that car set up to run with the start of the season just around the corner. Aston Martin showed up, new team. They bought Saudi. They showed up. Their car was not ready. They couldn't run either. And Red Bull, not talking about it, because nobody gets any of the metrics from the 3 days of testing in Barcelona. Red Bull supposedly is having compression problems with the new engines, etc. So we're a month out from the start of F1, and all these people have problems with this brand new setup, new cars, etc.
Wow.
And John, you and I talked about the amount of money.
The
amount of money that's invested in F1 research and development is through the roof. And we got 4 to 5 teams in all kinds of trouble as we get ready to start the season. So that's the F1 story. And tomorrow, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, big weekend, Torrey Pines. You've been out there. I've been out there. I love the venue. Brooks Koepka is going to break the embargo on what life is like in the LIV tomorrow. Press conference at 9 a.m. tomorrow.
Good.
At Torrey Pines. So that's going to be fascinating. More fascinating to me, how's he going to be treated by the fans? You know, the fans on the fairway, the fans that stand around the green. When Koepka is introduced to tee off, when he's getting ready to putt, are they going to give him crap for taking blood money to go to Saudi Arabia?
I hope not.
That's going to be interesting to watch that story. And now we're going to get to Thursday. And grant you, there is no Phil Mickelson or Dustin Johnson, the ringleaders who went to Saudi Arabia. There is no Tiger Woods because of these surgeries, the injuries, age 50. But there is Xander Schauffele, who's totally healthy. There is J.J. Spawn, who really established himself as a player on the tour last season. There's the young Spaniard, Patrick Cantlay. There's the young Scandinavian, Aberg. There's the great Australian, Jason Day. And there's a great Englishman, Justin Rose. So it's a wide open tournament, even though some of our most favorite golfers are not there. Of course, Scotty Scheffler's not playing, and Rory McIlroy's not playing at Torrey Pines. I wish they would. I wish they'd be forced to play at least here once every 3 or 4 years. But the tours let them pick and choose where they want to go. And by the way, speaking of Scotty Scheffler, I don't know if you know what he did up at La Quinta up in Palm Springs over the weekend. 27 under par.
Is that good?
Hell of a lot better than you shoot.
Yeah,
I know that.
Way better than me. That's for sure. 27 under par?
Yeah. He had nine birdies yesterday. On Sunday, he had 6 birdies on the back half on Saturday when he kind of surged into the lead and blew the field away.
He's a different level guy, man.
He is. And he's like a what do you call a robot? He just goes out there and just produces.
Yeah, like a machine.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
27 under par on a PGA Tour stop at La Quinta.
Wow.
That's amazing. Anyhow, those are other storylines there. I've done my job. It's your turn to do your job. You wanted this podcast?
Hey, I got some comments on this.
Go ahead. Oh, go ahead. Excuse me. Before I lecture you, let me lecture him. Go ahead. On my podcast, you're allowed to.
I got some things to say here. So, the fine wife and I were in Vegas over the weekend. And, you go into these casinos and the sports book, and you got all these different sports that are up there, and you see tennis. Mm-hmm. And I'll give the Australian Open people credit because that court was so vibrant blue, it just looked really special. Like they were playing in the Caribbean or something, and, but it is neat when you have the majors like this, like you can spot the Australian Open, Wimbledon, French Open, just by seeing the court. Yeah. I like that. So, good on those guys for having that tournament there. Now, I want to ask you, with Alex Palou, to me, isn't it like if you were to go from IndyCar to F1, isn't that kind of like getting promoted to the big leagues, to the ultimate worldwide best opportunity? Why would you turn that down?
It is an enormous challenge, and there have hardly been any Americans that have succeeded at it.
But it's not like there's an American flaw in its DNA. I mean, it's just he's going to go to one of the top teams, right?
But the track record of guys who have gone there, trying to get adjusted to the speed in the cars, the learning curve is unbelievably steep. That's why virtually anybody's succeeded there. Now, the young guy, Colton Herta, is going with Cadillac. Mm-hmm. The F1 team that just started up. He's going to be a test driver. So it takes, I was told it takes years to learn how to handle that speed, and you got to drive on the edge all the time. And Verstappen, he's a madman. He's just very different than anybody in modern day auto racing. So this is very different than IndyCar racing.
Well, it seems like the steering wheel has a lot more of those little flaps and triggers and different things. So it's like a whole different technology.
Oh, you're piloting the whole thing at 190 miles an hour.
And I just want to make a comment about Torrey Pines. Remember I told you last Thursday that we had 2 house cats here?
Yes.
And they're professional golfers.
And trying to qualify.
They tried to qualify, and there were multiple qualifying events. Mm-hmm. So they went to one of them that was at in Chula Vista. And there were like 80-something golfers in this thing.
Fighting for 3 spots.
So anyways, one of the guys that stayed with us made it. Okay. But he still isn't in the field for the Farmers Open. Then all of the people that qualified went to another qualifier
Yes, I
where they
think-
had 64 golfers. It was today.
Yeah, it's called the ARGA, I think it's called.
And I think they take maybe the top 4 or something out of that. So it's just incredible the amount of hoops and qualifying levels. You got to qualify to qualify to qualify to get into these tournaments. So whoever survives this, I don't know how our guy did today. I'm not sure what the final score was, but whoever survives this thing has run the gauntlet, and they deserve to have like a little bit of FaceTime on TV, I think.
Yeah. And then, by the way, you're in a group with Xander Schauffele. Good luck to you.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Xander Schauffele, go Aztecs.
Okay, so there we are. Fans Forum chat box is now open for business. This podcast brought to you by DIXIELINE Lumber and Home Centers, in business for more than 100 years in San Diego. Go to DIXIELINE.com to see all the things they have to offer. John, I am ready. I bet there's a few people there with some opinions. I bet they're ready too.
Yeah, Rams fans are just crying right now. Let's go to Carlos. Hey, Rams just blew a golden opportunity to win this year's Super Bowl. The refs didn't help. Face mask not called on a drive in the red zone. Cup was short on first down in the fourth quarter, plus the muff punt and the defensive interferences.
It's a hard game to officiate. Again, we got technology. Use the technology. Face masks and personal foul penalties should probably come into play now under a coach's challenge, because the face mask on Matthew Stafford was really flagrant. Now, was it intentional? No. You got pass rusher getting hammered, getting blocked, reaches out to try to tackle Stafford as he's going by, but he did yank him.
Yeah.
They never called it. And there were some issues about goal line calls, first down calls. And again, instant replay is not a perfect science. And some of those calls when you got so many bodies in the pile, but it was devastating. And at the end of the day, though, that guy should have not been returning punts, because he's had a history of dropping stuff and dropped one earlier in the game. Secondly, you had a chance to get points, take the points, especially with 5 minutes to go in the game. Again, for the fans who don't recall this, it was 31-27, and Stafford kept driving them down, and they stalled at the 14-yard line, or the 4-yard line, stalled at the 4. Kicked the field goal, would have been 31-30 with 5 minutes to go, and you still got 3 timeouts left in your pocket plus a 2-minute warning. It could have been 4 stoppages of play, which would have probably allowed you to get Stafford to get the ball back in his hands again. And Sean McVay didn't do it. So it was gut-wrenching. It was just really heartbreaking. And that quarterback did everything he could humanly do to get him to the finish line.
So explain to me why certain plays are reviewable and certain plays are not. I mean, this is true in every sport, it seems. I just want them to get it right, and if there's a delay to go to the booth, to go to headquarters, to have someone look at this, I'm okay with it. What's the deal? Why did they have it so they don't make some plays reviewable?
It's a tough game to officiate. There's been a great debate probably in the last 3 to 5 years in the National Football League. Let's just have a booth review or a New York review, which says that was not a penalty, pick the flag up. They have that. But part of that review is that was a penalty, throw a delayed flag.
Yes.
Stafford should have had a face mask penalty given to him. But, their thing is we don't want the game stopped every 15 seconds for instant replay reviews. Well, if you give coaches 3 challenges, that's it. That's all they can use. And then you just have booth reviews where the league can buzz down and say, don't run the next play. We're looking at something here.
No, well, some fans will say that, it slows down the game and everything else, but they have record ratings. I mean, no one's going to turn off the NFL because the games go from 3.5 hours to 3 hours and 45 minutes.
To quote John Riley, get the play right.
Exactly. Because when you get screwed like this, then, you're bitter and it's just wrong.
Okay. Rams fan, that's one. I'm sure they're hurting too. I am too. Go ahead.
Okay, well, go to Danielle Zendejas. Hey, good afternoon, gents. So who you picking to win the Super Bowl?
We'll talk more about that. We got 2 weeks to break that sucker down. But you can't go against New England when you consider what New England has accomplished against 3 of the best defenses in the National Football League. That's pretty impressive. And, the flip side of that, Seattle's the real deal. And that quarterback, he has no fear. I mean, what Darnold does in terms of where he throws the ball, and they max protected him really well. I was really, really impressed. So I think it's going to be a really good Super Bowl. Very different teams, though. But they do. I'm trying to think, what was the term I used on KUSI Saturday morning? I do a big sports segment. It's at 6:30 a.m. on Saturday. I don't know if it was angry men or something. It's just angry men, angry mob. That's what I said. I said, this NFC game is going to be like angry mob defense. And that's what it was.
It was. And then the defenses were great. And then suddenly they weren't great.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I'm saying AFC game was angry mob.
Yeah, for sure. Now, I have this one piece of advice for the Seattle Seahawks. Super Bowl against the Patriots. If you're in, like, down by, first and goal, second and goal, don't throw the ball. Right? I mean, that burned them. Like, what was that, 10, 11 years ago?
Yep.
That was the stupidest play. Remember that?
Well, you're in a confined area. Unless you're going to get a physical mismatch. That's tough. That's, it's tough to throw it over the corner. You got the corner of the end zone acts like a defender. It's a boundary.
Yeah.
It's tough. Now, unless you're throwing to a tight end matched on a linebacker who can't physically handle somebody 6'6", 6'7", it's just, I think it's really hard to throw. But the other thing is, take the points.
Totally. This fourth down thing, I like when they're going for fourth down, but sometimes they're just they're over their skis. They're gambling too much.
That's the thing. It's blowing my mind. I mean, Sean Payton knew how tough yards were going to come against, how hard to get points against New England. And he knew the damn weather was going to change before the end of the second quarter started to get bad. If you go up 10-0, that's a 2-possession game, and bad weather is going to be your best friend.
Yeah, and it's also that emotional, like,
Push.
yeah. So, and then the Patriots are like, oh, crap, now we really got to dig in. So when they miss that fourth down, it's like the Patriots get life, they get energy, so yeah, that was a bad call.
Okay, we move on. Thank you for joining us.
Okay, let's go to Cal and talk some Ducks. Hey, afternoon, gents. Saw Ducks go for 8 in a row tonight in Edmonton. Do you make a move or do you stand pat at the trade deadline?
Well, if you make a move, who are you going to get? Can he be a difference maker? But then what price do you pay? You don't want to start trading any more of your young guys, because you traded Zegers to Philadelphia, you traded Jamie Drysdale to Philadelphia. Who else are you going to trade? That's the big issue. And granted, San Diego Gulls are playing really well, and they look like they got some young talent. But none of these guys that you got here, they're not going to get you punter in from the New York Rangers. So are you willing? You're going to trade number 1 draft picks away? I don't know. I'd be really concerned and cautious, because the Ducks' chemistry looks really good right now. And those kids have caught their breath and they're playing really well again.
Wouldn't it be something like if the Ducks meet the Oilers in the playoffs, and the Kings, by the way, having so much trouble with the Oilers? What if the Ducks were able to overcome them and kind of like, do a 1-up on the Kings, right?
That'd be unbelievable. But if Edmonton is Edmonton at full strength, they don't have Draisaitl right now. He's gone home to Germany because of a family illness. He's not there. But if Edmonton's got all the pieces in the box with new goaltending and all that world of experience at postseason, and you got these 18 and 19-year-olds walking down the hallway for the first time to play in the Stanley Cup playoffs, that learning curve for the Ducks can be really steep.
Yeah, miracle on ice has happened before.
I guess so, yes. But
okay. All right, let's go here to Gary, talking more NFL. He goes, Kenneth Walker III had the best lateral moves since Barry Sander and LT. I saw him split into 2 people Sunday and was nigh untackable. Just saying, Seahawks going to take it all.
Tell you what, he was really physical. He was really dynamic, and he does have that zigzag in him. He had a bunch of 7, 8, 9-yard runs. Plus, I think he caught at least 1 or maybe 2 passes that became double digits. Like I said, Darnold got 17 chunk plays in that game, 17 plays of 10 yards or more. That's a hell of a lot of big yardage against the Rams defense. So now Seattle is the complete team. That quarterback is playing at just on a different mindset level, just no fear at all. Just let it rip.
Yeah, you like to see it.
Yeah.
I mean, you really do like to see it. And just after all the adversity he's gone through, Sam Darnold, excuse me, was he like the number 3 overall pick, or was he the number 1 overall pick?
I don't think he was number 1, but he was right at the top of the board.
Yeah, and then he went to the Jets, right?
Yeah, it was a terrible situation. He got beat up and a bad team. And
then after that, was it the Panthers? and then the 49ers, and then the Vikings, and now the Seahawks.
Yeah, he's on his 5th team.
It's a nice run.
Kevin O'Connell, Minnesota, unlocked the mystery. And what Mike McDonald has done in Seattle is just really impressive. But they put good people around him. His offensive line, they've got studs in the front. That's not sexy to talk about Charles Cross and those other guys. But their offensive tackles are real big producers.
Mike McDonald. I'm just thinking that there's who was the coach that just went to the Steelers? Mike
McCarthy. And then there's Mike McDaniel.
And there's Josh McDaniels. It just gets confusing with all these different guys. But did you see in the post game when they were up on the stage and, you know, who was it? It was Michael Strahan was up there saying, hey, you know, this was a division. It was supposed to be the Rams or the Niners. And how did you react to that? And he goes, we did not care. You know, so good on Seattle, man. I mean, this is a special moment.
How hard is it for the Rams? They were sitting there at 1.9-2 with the #1 seed in their pocket.
Oh, yeah.
And that whole thing unraveled. And, I mean, they earned the chance to be back in the NFC Championship game, but they traveled a hard road to get there. And, it's gut-wrenching. And when you're a veteran player, you don't get many more chances to get this kick at the can.
Yeah. There's only a few times. But, and Barry Sanders and LT, man, they were different.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Gary, thank you.
Okay, let's go here to Bill, talk baseball. Baseball salary cap. Who will smart market owners blame when they continue to spend the minimum floor and the bigger market teams spend the max? Greedy owners ruining baseball by not investing more money in their team.
Well, remember, the floor is going to be high. You know, I would assume if we have I don't know that we'll ever have a salary cap, but we have the luxury tax, which is pretty steep. And they're going to make it tougher if they keep the luxury tax. But the floor is going to be maybe as much as $140 million. I swear to you, Bill, half of baseball isn't spending $140 million. And these guys are taking this money, putting it in their pocket. So at the end of the day, if you're Miami and the floor comes in, you got to go to $140 million. You're going to have to spend that on veteran players to make your product better. That's why the Florida spending has been the success point of the NFL, because everybody has to spend it. Now, just because you spend it doesn't mean you're going to hit the jackpot. But that means you better scout and you better get the right players for what you have to spend. But if that floor is 140, and that's the number that's been given to me, that's a hell of a lot of money for Miami and Tampa and Pittsburgh and Detroit and Kansas City and these other guys that they're going to have to spend on their product.
Yeah, it seems that if they had the floor and the ceiling, that's good for, you know, the medium tiered ball players.
Yep.
Because there's more money to go around. It's not just Juan Soto and a bunch of guys on minimum. But it makes you wonder from an owner perspective, would this change the valuation of the team?
Oh, yeah. If you got a competitive team because now everybody has to spend, your product gets better, the value of your franchise goes up because your fans are now emotionally invested that, hey, my Pirates are in the wild card race. And so their attendance during the course of the season, because their product's better, because they had to spend money.
So what would the owner vote need to be? Would it need to be like 2/3 or 3/4 to implement? Oh, well, actually, they have to negotiate it, but
no, it's 8. 8 people could kill salary cap idea or the Florida spending. So they need 23 yes votes to change it. But you got to get the union has to agree to it too.
Yeah, that might be the tougher call, is getting the union to agree to it. Yeah, this is interesting. A lot of competing incentives.
Oh, this 2026. I mean, we're going to have a lot of dialogue about off the field and about these negotiations and what's right for baseball, the good of baseball, what's good for the players, what's good for the owners, what's good for the overall growth of the game. We'll be talking about pennant races, no doubt about it. Evil umpire, Yankees, Mets, blah, 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 blah. But I'll tell you, the storylines on this side of the table, that's going to get a lot of coverage.
Now, just by the way, the NFL obviously has a salary cap
and a floor.
And a floor. So you think there's more parity, and therefore we're moving, new teams are kind of at the top from time to time. And, you know, we had the Patriots forever, then we had the Chiefs forever in the AFC, and now the Patriots are back. You know, so it just goes to show you that even with the floor and the ceiling, good organizations are going to still win.
You have to make the right decision on the players and where you spend your money, but you have to spend the money.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
Thanks, Bill.
Let's go here to Richard. Fans Forum. He goes, hey, Devore, California here. Is this finally the year that my Red Wings will actually make the Stanley Cup? And if not, lie to me to keep my hopes up.
Well, they're really good. There's no doubt about it. And they might make a trade at the trade deadline. That's one of the rumblings out there. Actually, I was told that they were in on Quinn Hughes, who just got traded from Vancouver to the Minnesota Wild in a mega deal. Vancouver fire sale, trading everybody away. But I was told Detroit was right there. So I think they got good players and they got goal scorers, but there could be another acquisition coming. That February 5th trade deadline, historically, things have changed in the NHL in the last 5 years. I mean, we get a lot of trades at trade deadline day in hockey. We never used to get that before. So yeah, Detroit could be a player.
I remember that last year. It was like this flurry. I mean, it was like insane. The number of deals went down.
43 trades or something. I was keeping track and just.
Yeah. And, you have your little crib sheet there on your clipboard. But yeah, it was nuts. And they were just kept coming in like for I think the final 36 hours.
Yeah. Some clubs build for the future. Some clubs dump contracts. Some clubs rent star players on the final months of their contract that could be a difference maker. Keep an eye on the New York Rangers because it looks like there's going to be a real purge on that roster. I don't think Chris Drury's done a great job as general manager of the Rangers. They got a lot of guys underachieving, but they may make a whole significant number of trades.
All right. Love trade deadlines. Okay, let's go back to football. Surf City Bill, he goes, hey, McVay went for the touchdown on 4th and 4 because the defense wasn't stopping Seattle.
Well, but I concur with you there, but would you not rather move within 1 point, have 5 minutes to play, and have 3 timeouts plus the 2-minute warning in your pocket? Because if that's the case, you kick that field goal, all you need is a field goal and 1 more possession. By failing, you needed a touchdown, and they ran out of time because those guys drained the clock.
Yeah, it's just interesting because near the end of the game, there was just touchdown, back and forth.
There were 4 touchdowns and 4 possessions.
Yeah, so you think, okay, the Rams might have another one up their sleeve, and
well, they did. But they ran out of time at the end. They got up to the 4, and they went for the touchdown rather than the 3 points. So that gave the ball back to Seattle, and Seattle sucked all the time off the clock. Sucked 4 minutes and 35 seconds off the clock. Rams got it back with 25 seconds left. No timeouts.
Yeah. Good luck.
Yeah. So tough way to lose. But again, I've made a big thing about you should have gone for the field goal and cut the lead to 1 point. But the big thing was their secondary just totally fell apart. And that was all by virtue of mismatches and motions and my God, what McDonald was running offensively and what Kubiak was calling with guys in motion. The Rams secondary was looking at each other as the ball being snapped, and guys were running crossing patterns and pick patterns, and the Rams were just like a step slow, and they kept going down the field. You get 17 chunk plays against a team in the playoffs, you're doing a hell of a job, and they're not.
Yeah, they're not.
Oh, heartbreaking.
Okay, let's go here to some more talk on this game from Tom. Sam Darnold alone is a great story. Hope he gets a ring.
Couldn't. He's got a really good team around him. I mean, this is different than being Sam Darnold, rookie New York Jets with crap around you. I mean, now Minnesota, they kind of wilted the back end with him, but he's really become what a specimen. He's a big physical guy. And now he's playing with a lot more confidence and a lot more bravado, but he's got really good people around him. I mean, those 3 wideouts, holy cow. And the tight end and their tackles and their center, those are really quality players. And you got Kenneth Walker. And by the way, on the other side of the football, good luck moving the ball against that defense. My God, that defensive front and that back 7.
Yeah, that's a good team.
Yeah,
the Seahawks are looking good, and
it is a complete team.
Now, Sam Darnold he went to high school, I think, like in San Clemente, I think. Mm-hmm. So yeah, local boy. You want to see him have some success.
You talk about getting up off the floor in your career and your life when everybody gave up on you.
Yeah, it's just Sam. I always think of Sam Darnold and Mac Jones are kind of similar guys that were drafted highly, didn't get off to a really good start, but then have showed flashes of brilliance when they've got good coaching.
Exactly. And good people around you.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. This is from John. He goes, my brother is a Titans fan and says the Vrabel getting fired and then leading a team to the Super Bowl is the most Titans thing that could have happened.
A lot of dysfunction in that ownership. You know, the franchise was owned by Bud Adams forever and ever, Houston Oilers, Love You Blue, Bum Phillips and all that, then moved to Tennessee and struggled and then got good. And, you know, they had the Music City Miracle and all that. But then the thing is just kind of falling apart. So new leadership there. It'll be interesting to see what transpires with Salah going in and who they hire as offensive coordinator to work with Cam Ward. But Vrabel's resume is what Vrabel's resume is. He was a hell of a player as a talent and a real team guy, and he's obviously a very smart guy. So they brought a lot of players in, and young guys have grown. And the culture in New England is just, it's phenomenal emotionally. So that's a pretty good team. And that quarterback's a real deal. That's the one thing that's really stunned me in the 3 playoff games. Slow start, struggling. Are they overwhelmed? Get it figured out in the second half, and then they started to make plays, and he started to run the football on them when things broke down, and their defense got progressively tougher and tougher and tougher in the second half. Every one of those 3 playoff wins against pretty good teams, pretty impressive.
Isn't it interesting how a coach can show up and be so transformative? You know, just literally flip a team, you know, from, what were they, 4-13 to 13-4. So, well, whereas other coaches come in and they kind of still are kind of mediocre, or they're still backsliding. I mean, obviously goes to talent and the ownership and the GM, but it's just interesting when one coach could come in and boom, everything changes.
Well, you hit on players. He brought a whole bunch of players. I think he brought 9 starters in on defense from other teams, veterans, who'll be there for a year or 2. But they drafted well. Now, it's not perfect. Their left tackle, Will Campbell, was the best lineman in the country last year at LSU. He is really struggling on pass blocking.
He has been. Yeah.
He's getting his brains blown out, and they need to help him. But they got a left tackle and a starting left guard in the same draft. And those guys are playing really well. And so, and they got, you know, their right guard is a refugee from the Baltimore Ravens, or right tackle, Moses Morgan. It's big as the state of Rhode Island. So they got good players, and that quarterback is just a warrior. He's just really, really good. So they flipped it. I mean, it is quite a success story.
We're going to have to listen to obnoxious Boston fans for the next 2 weeks.
That's okay. They earned it. They really
did. I mean, they did earn it.
I think everybody loves what Vrabel's done as compared to everybody disliking Belichick and Brady.
Well, you think it'd been a different result if Bo Nix was healthy? It's got to be, right?
Exactly. Now, could Bo Nix have made plays in the second half as the sleet and snow was blowing sideways and they're going into that 20-mile-an-hour wind? I don't know about that. But Bo Nix would have made more plays. I mean, Stidham completed the 52-yard pass, and like I said, he only threw for 88 yards the rest of the game, and all those other possessions, their offense just totally died. And then obviously the weatherman moved into
the weatherman. Okay, let's go here to Mark. Hey, what do the Rams need to do to fix the special teams issues?
Well, I think they need to fix the secondary too. You know, they did fire the special teams coach. There's no doubt Xavier Smith has got great talent. I mean, he's, as a wide receiver, he's made some nice catches and he's rangy, but he's not trustworthy on punts. And he dropped balls during the course of the season too, in addition to muffing one at the beginning of this playoff game. And Blake Corum has a much better track record of reliability. So they pulled Xavier Smith after that and put Blake Corum in the rest of the game. So that hurt him. But the secondary thing is just, their defensive back end just got away from the second half of the season. Maybe it's because Lake had the injury, was on IR for half the season. He didn't look to be the same player since he's come off IR in the playoffs. But God, the guys are running open. They weren't defending anybody at the back end of that game yesterday.
Rams fans, man, they're just kind of licking their wounds.
Yeah.
Let's go to Do You Love It? Hey, Rams were gifted a trip to the Super Bowl gifted a trip to the Super Bowl years ago with that horrific non-PI call in the NFC Championship against Breeze and the Saints.
Oh boy, we're calling back for history again, aren't we? But bitter loss. I'll be intrigued to see if they lose coaches. You know, does somebody take Shula? Does somebody take Shieldhouse? Shieldhouse was meeting with the Cleveland Browns today in Los Angeles, and he might be the guy they're going to hire. So, there'll be a little bit of a brain drain on McVay's staff too, and your players are going to be a year older. But geez, to be there 9-2 in October and be the number one pick and hitting on all cylinders and just have the thing fall apart. Oh, heartbreaking.
Well, it's like what happened to the Colts.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they were like 7-1 or something like that.
8-2 with Daniel Jones.
Yeah, and then everything went to hell.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. People here, some more shout outs. This is from Peck Y 92Q. Hello, gents. Listening from Visalia in Central California Valley. Can the Patriots keep up with the high-powered Seattle offense?
Yeah, that might be a throwing contest, but I'll tell you, New England's defense is really rugged. I mean, the Patriot defense really put a lid on Justin Herbert. And the Patriot defense obviously went in, and now, granted, it was against Stidham in Denver in an unbelievably hostile situation. I mean, the emotions in that game in the first half were all painted orange, and they got progressively better and better. So we got these two teams. These are two complete football teams.
Mm-hmm.
That is good Super Bowl.
It is. I mean, it was interesting, too, that we had both championship games in the Western United States. That doesn't happen very often.
Imagine if the game had been in Boston.
Oh, my God.
17 inches of snow.
Or like Green Bay or something. It would have been hell.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would have been brutal. Okay, let's go here to Chris. Hey, got to watch Chris Shula coordinate his way out of one of the available head coaching jobs yesterday.
Well, that wasn't good yesterday. That kind of damages that resume a little bit. But I think he's had 3 interviews. But again, there's only 4 jobs left. Out of the 10 interviews or 10 job openings that there were, there's only 4 left. And I think another bunch are going to close pretty quickly here. But I just heartbroken for McVay. I think he's such a good coach, and Stafford is such a good guy, and they got so many dynamic players on that roster, and they fall short. Again, it's tough to get back there.
Yeah.
It would have been their 3rd Super Bowl in 9 years.
Yeah. I mean, you're right. It is tough to get back there. Okay, let's keep on going here. Go to Casey. Hacksaw, with the Big Ten releasing their schedule tomorrow, any idea who USC is replacing Notre Dame with on their schedule?
I don't know. Eastern Kentucky? That is terrible. Southern Cal, 1 AA teams on their roster. What a disgrace. Notre Dame replaced Southern Cal by playing BYU. Well, BYU, in the last 15 minutes, played really good football this past season, but it's terrible. USC hiding under the banner of, well, we're in the Big Ten. We have all these tough road trips. And you screw up a rivalry, goes back to 1920. Shame on those guys. Shame on everybody that did what they did to the Pac-12. Jeez.
They need to restructure the way the scheduling works, because like the way the NFL, you play in your division so many games in your conference, so many other games in the other conference. There's like a structure to it, the way the schedule is assembled. And, then they have to work out the home and away thing. But just giving the coaches the ability to bring in cupcakes, you're just wasting everyone's time.
Yeah. Put more emphasis on strength of schedule in the college football playoff thing. Put that into the mix. Therefore, you won't play Murray State.
Well, it'd be like hypothetically, you could say 6 of your games are in your conference, 3 of your games are with other Power 4 teams, and then we'll let you have 3 games with Group of 5. Something like that.
Mm-hmm. But you got to do that. But all the conferences are such different sizes. The SEC wants you to play 9 games within the league.
Right.
So it's a tough call.
Well, there's no way. I mean, like the Big Ten
is 18 teams.
Right. So, I mean, every year you're never going to play everyone else. So, yeah, they just need to have a structure to this whole process.
Good luck with that idea.
Yeah, good luck. Okay. Let's go here to Sports Fan. Hey, Lee Hacksaw Hamilton, why is it that UFC fights should be a summer Olympic sport?
The octagon, the cage. That's a good question. People are drawn to it because it's a blood sport. UFC has replaced boxing. You ever think about that? That boxing would disappear off the radar of the whole world? This is amazing.
Well, it is cool to watch boxing matches. Sometimes I'll watch like old Muhammad Ali matches on YouTube.
Yeah, that's a long time ago.
That's a really long time ago.
Golden Gloves was a really long time ago.
It was a long time ago, but obviously to your point, it's like a blood sport, with UFC, but there was a big fight in Vegas while we were there over the weekend. So it's big time. I mean, it's interesting how with the Olympics, the sports at the bottom of the list kind of go out and new ones come in.
Mm-hmm.
Like, is baseball and softball still out, or are they coming back in? That was one of the, and then they'll make room for like ballroom dancing. You're like, what the hell? That's not a sport.
Well, you get some women will be getting on this podcast saying you're wrong.
Well, is that one of the sports you've ever covered in your career?
No,
ballroom dancing in the Olympics?
Not enough hours in a day for me to cover ballroom dancing.
Okay, let's go here to Emmanuel. Hey, I'm going to be so happy when LeBron is gone from the Lakers. LeBron wanted all the young talent. The Lakers had to acquire his old friends from other teams. AD carried the Lakers to the 2020 title, not LeBron.
As a lot of people think that this whole thing unraveled with the Russell Westbrook acquisition, and that was driven by LeBron behind the closed doors, etc. And see, I just think their roster building has been flawed all along, and they just have not been able to come up with the right formula. And here we are sitting here now mid-season. Now, granted, they're having a decent statistical season right now, and even though Austin Reeves has been hurt, but still a flawed team. But please tell me, beyond their 5 starters and maybe one guy off the bench, is there anybody else there do you think is a difference maker? And you're going to have injuries, etc. But at the end of the day, the players run the league. It's just not here in Los Angeles. There's a lot of people have a lot of input in a lot of other marketplaces. But boy, the Lakers are just not a complete team, and have not been a complete team since the Kobe, Shaq, and maybe the AD when he first arrived here. So it's tough call, but he's a great player. My goodness, he's as complete a player as there is. I mean, he is every bit what Michael Jordan was.
No. No. I mean, statistically, maybe you can compare apples and apples, but as far as being like a champion, a leader of men, a guy that wants to go out there and dominate and make and be remembered in the history books, 2 totally different kind of guys,
mm-hmm.
And I think that's what Emmanuel is talking about right here. It's like they call him LeBum. The Lakers, they demand, that like the commitment to excellence, like to steal the Raiders logo. That's what they want, and LeBum just always seems to disappoint. You got Bronny, you got all that drama.
Yeah, but that's the end of the bench doesn't mean crap.
No, but it's just more of the circus.
But here we are. I had a guy from Dallas-Fort Worth tell me last week, says nothing's changed. So you got Luka. Luka in LA is doing the same thing Luka did in Dallas. And by the way, we didn't win in Dallas with him taking 37 shots a game. And his bad nights are really bad nights. So did anybody gain anything except we just changed pieces and we got street clothes Anthony Davis who can't stay healthy?
That's great nickname.
Yeah.
Okay. Hey, I want to go here to Music to My Ears. Thank you for the donation. He goes, hey, do you enjoy the Super Bowl commercials, the halftime show? I don't normally watch American football, but I'll watch the Super Bowl. Predictions on the score?
We'll predict it in the next 2 weeks. You got 2 weeks to break that sucker down. The Super Bowl commercials were really great for a long period of time, but more recently, I sat and watched the broadcast, and some of the commercials don't make a bit of sense to me. What are we selling here? There's so much noise and so much action in the commercials, you don't kind of lose the message. Initially, Super Bowl commercials were, they make you think, they make you laugh, it's funny, where's the beef, that kind of stuff. And it's not, I don't see that in these commercials any longer.
Yeah, it's some, ad agencies can be overly creative.
It's like everything is Star Wars now.
Well, there's a lot of that. Yeah, I mean, I remember Volkswagen had like a Darth Vader in their commercial for one of those. But the commercials are fun, and some years they're better than others. But the halftime show, it's interesting because first of all, the Prince halftime show, when was that? Like 15 years ago? Mm-hmm. That was insane. He was playing Purple Rain in the rain in Miami. I mean, it was fantastic. I remember Tom Petty was good. U2, I thought it did a good job. Michael Jackson had a big one there in the early 90s. He did
I must be in the minority. I don't watch the halftime music shows. I don't really care.
Well, who was the halftime show last year? It was one of the big time rappers. And I can't remember his name, but I know that part of his show, he had Serena Williams out there, and they were doing certain kinds of dances that had hidden meanings and, kind of double messages. And so it was interesting to kind of learn more about that, so I know I like the whole halftime show experience. To me, that's a big highlight.
You like French pastry.
It's good stuff. Okay. All right. Let's,
we'll talk more about the game in the next couple of shows.
Okay. Let's go here to Trevin. He goes, hey, Sam went to San Clemente High School, coached in high school by Troy Kopp from Mission Viejo, then coached by Jordan Palmer of Mission Viejo High School as well.
Yeah. So he's learned under some good quarterbacks. Troy Kopp was a college quarterback, obviously. We all know about Jordan Palmer.
Well, what about Carson Palmer? Is that like
Carson?
Relation?
Yeah, it's his brother. Carson Palmer is now the head coach at Rancho Santa Margarita, where he played, and has done very, very well.
Jim Rome loves to imitate you saying Rancho Santa Margarita.
That's
Rancho Santa Margarita. Pick up the phone.
Romy, thanks for listening.
Yeah, good old Rome. Okay, let's bounce out of our live chat and let's go in here to social media. Okay, we'll talk a little bit more here about the Dodgers. This is from Bent Wookie. He goes, a salary cap isn't going to stop the Dodgers. They're among the best in drafting and developing and working the margins. Plus, players want to play there. LA normally has the smallest bonus pools, and yet they have the #1 ranked system, according to MLB execs. So it's not all checkbook baseball. With the next, what's the next step to stop them after the salary cap? A cap on computers and electricity for the Dodgers?
Now, the Dodgers do well drafting, though they don't keep their draft picks any longer because they've been stripped because they're way over in the third tier of spending. But it's a tough call. Is it good to have one team dominate? I mean, was it good to have the Yankees in Steinbrenner's era be the evil umpire? I don't know. But we've got to do something to fix the 20 franchises that don't seem to be committed to spend any of the money that they're getting in revenue sharing. So there's got to be some solution to that to bring these other markets and make them much more competitive, because that helps the game grow. If all these markets are in the wild card race, that's good for Major League Baseball. It's good for TV ratings, etc. This is just not a Dodger thing. This is more of a business model that I don't think works the way it's laid out right now.
So let's say you're Rob Manfred and you got your team of executives at MLB headquarters, and you're thinking, what are the biggest problems we need to solve? And I'm thinking
the TV revenue thing, because of the death of the regional sports.
Yes, that's one of them.
That's huge.
So you have the regional sports network situation. You've got this salary cap floor situation. You've got the gambling that's creeping into the sport. What are the other hot problems and they need to address?
I think the regional sports thing is monstrously big. I mean, in San Diego, they had a $60 million a year TV contract that's probably down to $20 to $30 million a year. And that's happened to everybody that had a regional sports contract that's just evaporated. Whereas the Dodger TV contract and the Yankees and the Red Sox and the Mets, they're making so much money off their TV contracts and nobody else is. That's why Rob Manfred really wants to centralize everything in what he initially called Team 30. They wanted to take all the TV broadcast under the MLB umbrella, sell it nationally, so you could buy it and you'd be on everybody's TV broadcast, whatever your national products are. But that's tough to ask the Dodgers to give up all their revenue for the good of the game. So that, to me, the TV revenue is the biggest issue. And then obviously, to me, luxury tax, I just don't think we're going to get a cap. But a luxury tax and the Florida spending, those are, to me, the two biggest things.
Yeah, I prefer a luxury tax over a cap on a ceiling.
Well, you never get the union to agree to the cap.
Yeah, I agree with that. But to me, I mean, if I were to look at those problems, I'm with you. I think the TV revenue problem is number one. I think the gambling creeping in, they got to put a stop to that or find a way to really police that in a very open and aggressive way. The cap and the floor, we like to talk about it because the Dodgers spend so much money. But I mean, to his point, I mean, the Dodgers make great decisions.
Yep.
And you can't, harm them, or you can't call them out for that.
Okay, let's do a couple more here before we put a lid on it.
A couple more. Let's talk Angels baseball. This is with Fantasy X channel. I don't know what that's about. Hey, Angels need to stop signing over the hill past their prime players. Focus on trying to find gems in the rough. Need better scouting. I will continue to boycott Artie Moreno and not give that man a penny.
They've added more players than anybody else, and I don't think they've added a difference maker, and that's a real big problem. You know, they made another deal today. They just signed Trey Mancini, who once upon a time was a really decent young power-hitting outfielder, Baltimore-Houston, had cancer surgery. It's just taken him forever to come back. He's now become a journeyman, but they're stockpiling their roster with all this, and they're still, despite the Anthony Rendon contract deferral deal that they did, they still got $38 million underneath what they spent last year. Well, what are you doing? You're going to give me the same product next season with just different faces? It's Artie Moreno, if he does not want to run it correctly in a supposed big market, should sell the franchise to let somebody else run it correctly.
Trey Mancini, that just broke today?
Yes.
Yeah, he's like another one of those guys,
Exactly.
that had moments that maybe are a little bit more on the downside, a little more question marks about their capabilities.
Well, he was a good, decent player. He had 21 home run hitter, 260 average, and they had cancer. And it took him
was he
forever
with
to come back.
Baltimore?
Yes, and then Houston.
Yeah, he got traded to Houston at a trade deadline.
And he's never come back to be what he was before. So you bring him in. Yeah, you give him a chance. You bring him on a next to nothing contract, but is he a difference maker? And I don't have the list in front of me, but I think they've added 11 players in the offseason. And outside of Grayson Rodriguez, who was a good frontline starter before he got hurt, and Pomeranz, who hasn't been the same pitcher really because of his health issues, have they added any difference makers at all? Big issue.
No. I mean, it just seems like they're fighting to just stay above the Oakland A's, because they're not competing with the Astros or the Rangers.
Yep.
They're on a totally different level.
Okay,
let's talk Chargers. We can still probably squeeze this one in. This is from Omar. He goes, I wanted Sean Payton after the 2022 season after the Jacksonville loss. Damn, we were a day late and a buck short. Look at Sean Payton now.
Well, look at success story. What he did in New Orleans with a quarterback who was coming off shoulder surgery, and obviously what he's done with Bo Nix developing him and what they've done from a player personnel standpoint. So there's no doubt he's a guru. He's an X and O savant, if you will. But damn, go for the field goal when you could have been up 10-0 with a snowstorm coming. He didn't do that.
A bird in the hand is worth two in the bush.
In a snowstorm in Denver,
yeah,
yes.
Exactly. Okay.
Hey, listen, we hope you've enjoyed this podcast. A lot of fun. We put a lot of topics on the table. Thank you for your patience, and thank you for joining us. Tell everybody who we are, what we do Mondays and Thursdays at 1:30. Give us a thumbs up. Give us the follow button. Give us a 5-star rating. It helps us a lot. Podcast brought to you by DIXIELINE Lumber. Give them a thumbs up for being a proud supporter. We'll be back here Thursday at 1:30. John, have yourself a great day. Good to see you back in town.
Yeah, back in town. Go Aztecs on Wednesday against the Rams.
And thank you for being part of Hacksaw's Headlines.
Join us again for Hacksaw's Headlines on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. And find the audio version on your favorite podcast apps. For more content, go to LeeHacksawHamilton.com.